This is an unusual episode of the Make Movement Matter podcast. I'm going to be my own guest and go solo. If you enjoy this shorter episode and would like to hear more Wendy's wanderings about other topics, then send me a direct message on Instagram or visit my website reclaimmovement.co.uk, where you can also find out all the ways I can help you progress with movement in daily life to age well. Welcome back to Make Movement Matter. It's going to be the 5th season of the podcast, starting next week with interviews. I cannot believe it is in its 5th series, and I have spoken to some incredible guests, and we have many more already recorded and waiting for you for this season, which I hope you'll really enjoy. Now, as this goes out, in a few days' time, it's going to be National Walking Month in the UK. And I wanted to talk about walking because it's something that I am really passionate about. And if you want to start a habit that changes everything, walking is so simple and it can do that for you. Having an event like National Walking Month could be just the perfect nudge that you need to start a lovely walking habit. I walk every day in May. I have done for the last few years, and I post about it on social media to inspire others to do the same, but also to remove the pressure of how people see blocks of exercise and the necessity to go out and do big chunks, because actually the lovely thing about walking is that it's so accessible to so many. And obviously overthinking it, the talk about 10,000 steps can really make it quite limiting. But instead, I want you to see it as a way to start getting little chunks of movement throughout your day. And in next week's episode, we're going to be talking to Sir Muir Gray, who has brought out a book about walking, and he talks all about this. So I hope you will tune back in for that. Why did movement in the form of walking become so important to me? Well, to be honest, I have walked a lot all my life, but I wasn't passionate about it until I had to stop running when I got into chronic pain in 2014. I love being outside. I knew that walking was something that I could still do, that didn't cause me huge flare-ups as long as I was sensible about the amount that I did. But it gave me access to movement in a way that was feeling very restricted at the time. And actually, it really helped with my pain because it meant that I could boost those endorphins, get the blood flowing, and it got me out in nature. And that was one of the things that I was missing most from not being able to run anymore. And it really had to force me to slow down. I used to really be consistently thinking about how much running I had to do, how long I had to do, the distance I had to do. I was really sort of constantly competing with myself. But when I started walking, I realized that it really wasn't about that, and that I could really shut off my brain if I wanted to, or I could listen to something interesting, or I could be with someone and spend some really good quality time with them. And the miles, the steps would just pass. To be honest, now, if I don't get out, even for a short walk, and I'm meaning 5-10 minutes sometimes, I really feel like a caged animal. I'm sure you know that feeling yourself. And ultimately, we are meant to be out in nature. So it makes sense that we feel that way. And there are so many benefits of walking. Cardiovascular, obviously, is a huge one, but it is a weight-bearing exercise. We are still building muscles and bones. We're constantly challenging our balance. And every time that we are moving on surfaces that are slightly uneven, we're sending brilliant signals to our brain to ensure that we can respond with the rest of our body to what's happening under our feet. And the more that we do that, the more that we have that sort of imbalance underneath our feet, the more it helps us to prevent falls, because we're used to, our bodies and our brains, our nervous systems are used to adjusting to those different sensations and feelings. And obviously, as you probably also know, and actually go back to listen to episode 1 with Caroline Williams, there's a sweet spot where if you're walking at certain, I think it's 120 beats per minute, where it sort of syncs your heart rate up with the steps and your brain. And that's when you get into a really lovely mode where it feels very efficient, but you're also feeling great from doing it. So it's a really important mood booster. And I have to say, I never come back and think to myself, I wish I hadn't been. And many a time I will think, can I fit it in? Do I really need to go right now? And always that little push to think about how I'm going to feel afterwards, because I now know that I will, means that it makes me take that first step. And I think that first step is the hardest one to take sometimes. So I encourage you, when you feel those barriers rising up, to just think, okay, let's just go for 5 minutes and see what happens. Keep walking for 5 minutes, and then naturally to get home, you've done 10. And just do it that way. And maybe just pick something to do, to walk and talk at the same time, phone a friend, listen, as I talked about before. If you want to up the ante as well, it's super beneficial, because upping your pace is obviously even better for your heart. You can add in things like moving your hips by going under and over things. You can balance on things. You can jump over puddles. There's all sorts that you can do out on a walk in any environment. So it doesn't just have to be plain simple walking, even though that really is my favorite thing. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the 10,000 step myth. Now, 10,000 steps is a really good number to achieve, but it's not the be all and end all. And I think it puts a lot of pressure on, and the fitness industry loves to have these big numbers, these big targets. But it's not a golden rule. And in fact, it was conceived in the 1960s in Japan by a marketing campaign, not actually from science, by a watch it was created, and it was a pedometer. I can't remember the exact words, but it was something along the lines of the name of that equated to 10,000 steps. And that's how it came about. And then it caught on. However, it's still a good thing to be able to do. But if 4,000 steps or less is where you're at the moment, then that's brilliant too. That still is lowering your risk of premature death. Every 1,000 steps over and above that is doing you more good. And that's a great thing to be able to start to bring in if you want to increase gradually. But the point is just moving, just getting out there. You know, ultimately, we have such a reliance on these things on our wrists, or what our phone is telling us, those numbers. And actually, your health story is not written on your wrist. It's about how you move and how it makes you feel. And that's what's going to keep you going. So, walking with me this May, is it something you'd like to do? If you'd love to be accountable, then tag me on Instagram at reclaim.movement. Send me your walking stories. Send me your images of what you're seeing around you and how it's making you feel, and share it with others to inspire us, because we've all got to work together to help each other to move more. And maybe this could be your reset that could start you a lovely rhythm and routine to get you moving forward. And one step is all it takes to start that ripple, and one walk. So maybe have a little practice before May the 1st, and never wait for it to be the perfect time. Never wait for the perfect walk or the perfect weather. It doesn't happen. So just get out there, because every step truly counts for your body, your brain, and your mood. And I'd love to hear how you do. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope it has given you a little nudge in the right direction. And I look forward to sharing the rest of the episodes in season 5 with you. And I always love to hear from you about how much you're enjoying the podcast, any thoughts it brings up. And if you have any guest suggestions as well, I always love to hear them. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week. I hope you've enjoyed listening. And if you have, you can help by doing 3 things. First, press the follow button to tell podcast platforms you want to listen again. Second, please give the show a 5-star rating and leave a review about why you liked it. And third, I'd love you to share it with friends and family or on your socials, for which I'm truly thankful. Finally, if this podcast is making you want to start reclaiming your own movement, join me in the Reclaim Movement membership for classes, both live and by replay, and countless videos of mini movement breaks to add into your daily life, covering practical and fun, important natural movements. Visit reclaimmovement.co.uk/membership to get started with your 7-day free trial. See you for the next episode, and thank you so much for listening.